You are not lazy. That is the first thing I need you to accept, because everything else I say depends on it. You have been doing the work. You have a routine. You have habits that most people never build. You wake up and you do the thing. You write in the book. You say the words. You look at the picture on your wall. You keep your mood clean. You protect your energy. You have been disciplined about this for months, maybe years. Some of you have been disciplined about it for a decade, and you are still checking your balance with a knot in your stomach. Here is what nobody in this space will tell you, because the entire industry is built on you not knowing it. The problem is not that you lack discipline. The problem is that you have been extremely disciplined about 6 specific practices, and every one of those 6 practices requires you to not have the money in order to perform it. Read that again slowly. A practice that only makes sense if the thing is missing will keep the thing missing. It has to. It is the only way the practice survives. That is the entire mechanism of this video. 6 habits that everyone calls spiritual, that feel holy while you do them, that make you feel like a serious person on a path, and every one of them quietly renews the exact condition you are trying to leave. And I am going to give you more than the list. In a minute, I'm going to hand you a single question, 1 line long, that you can run on any practice anyone has ever sold you. Any method, any teacher, any technique, including the ones I have not named in this video, and including anything you ever hear from me. It takes 4 seconds and it exposes a fake method instantly. And once you have it, you will never again spend 2 years on a ritual that was never capable of producing anything. Keep that question. Throw the rest away if you want. The question is the part that changes your life. Neville Goddard said one thing about this that most people skip past because it is too short to feel important. He said that if you want a thing, you will continue to want it, because wanting is a state, and states reproduce themselves. He was not being clever. He was describing a machine. Whatever position you occupy is what gets built out into your world, and the position of wanting builds a world in which the thing is always slightly out of reach, forever, because that is what wanting requires in order to exist. So the question is not whether your habits are sincere. They are sincere. The question is what position you are standing in while you do them. And I want to give you a test right now before the list, because the test is worth more than the list. You can run it on any practice you have ever been taught, including practices I have recommended, including anything you hear in this video. Ask 1 question about it. Could a person who already has this thing perform this practice without it being strange? That is the whole test. Run it on anything. Could a man with money in the bank sit down every morning and write out a detailed description of having money in the bank? No. It would be bizarre. He would look insane. Could a woman who owns the house look at a picture of the house on her wall twice a day with a small ache in her chest? No. She lives there. Could a person who is not worried about a payment ask the sky for a sign about whether the payment is coming? No. There is nothing to ask about. Every practice that fails this test is a practice that can only be performed from inside the condition you are trying to leave, and you cannot occupy 2 positions at once. The moment you take the position required by the ritual, you have answered the only question your nervous system was ever asking, which is, who am I right now? Now here is the uncomfortable part about why these 6 specific habits are the ones you were given. Out of everything that could have been taught to you, they are the ones that keep you coming back. Not because someone is plotting against you, because of simple selection. A practice that resolves the matter gets used once and abandoned, and nobody buys the second course. A practice that has to be repeated daily, forever, produces a person who shows up every morning, who buys the journal, who watches the next video, who needs the next teacher. Daily practices win in the marketplace, not because they work better, but because they survive better. That is all. It is not a conspiracy, it is an ecosystem, and the practices that reproduce fastest are the ones that require the problem to stay unsolved. Which means the very fact that a habit is popular, cozy, and requires daily maintenance should make you suspicious of it, not comfortable with it. Let me take them one at a time. And I want you to be honest as we go, because at least 3 of these are in your week right now. The first one is daily gratitude for what you already have. This one is going to be uncomfortable because it is the most protected practice in the entire self-improvement world. You have been told 1,000 times that gratitude is the foundation, that it opens the flow, that you cannot receive without appreciating what is already here. And it sounds so obviously good that questioning it feels like being a bad person. So watch what actually happens when you do it. You sit down in the morning with your list, and you write down the things you are grateful for: your health, your apartment, your family, the coffee, the fact that you have a job at all, and you feel a warm little settling in your chest, and you close the book. What did you just do? You took inventory. You walked through your current life item by item, and you certified every one of them as present and accounted for. You just told your nervous system, in the most emotionally loaded way possible, this is what I have. This is the set. This is the inventory of my life, and I have gone through it with feeling. The list did not include the money. Obviously, it could not. It is a list of what is here. So every morning, with sincerity and warmth and a soft heart, you conduct a ceremony that reaffirms the exact boundary of your current life. You draw the line around what exists and you charge it with emotion, and then you spend the rest of the day wondering why nothing crosses the line. Now, I am not telling you to be ungrateful. Ingratitude is a worse state, and a bitter person manifests nothing but more evidence to be bitter about. I am telling you the direction is wrong. Neville's version of gratitude was not a survey. It was a receipt. He was thankful for the thing that had not yet appeared, and he was thankful in the past tense, because in his mind it was already done, and the thanks was the natural response to something completed. Thank you for the money that came. Thank you, that is handled. Thank you, I have it. Feel the difference in your body between those two positions. One is a person looking around their small room and saying, I appreciate this. The other is a person who has already been paid, saying thank you on their way out the door. Same word, opposite state. And the state is the only part that transmits. So if you keep a gratitude practice, invert it. Stop listing what is here. Give thanks for the thing that is not visible yet, as if the notification already came through, and then get up and go about your day like someone who does not need to check. And I know the objection, because it arrives instantly. Somebody is thinking, but gratitude raises my mood, and a better mood has to help. It does not help the way you think. A better mood is a pleasant side effect of a ceremony that just confirmed your inventory, and the confirmation outlasts the mood by about 11 hours. You feel good for 20 minutes and you stay bounded for the rest of the day. That is a bad trade, and you have been taking it every morning for years without ever auditing the result. There is also a version of this practice that is worse than the standard one, and a lot of you are running it. It is the version where the gratitude is defensive, where you list what you have specifically, because you are afraid that wanting more will make you ungrateful, and that being ungrateful will cause what you have to be taken away. That is not appreciation. That is somebody keeping quiet so the sky does not notice them, and a person who is being careful not to be noticed is not in a position to receive anything, because receiving requires being seen. Money does not arrive to people who are hiding from an audit. The second habit is the vision board, and everything in that family. The picture on the wall, the lock screen, the folder of images, the wallpaper of the house. This one is sold to you as the most powerful thing you can do. Put it where you see it every day. Let it program you. Look at it first thing in the morning. And there is a defect built into it that no one names, and once I name it, you will not be able to unsee it. You are looking at it, you are on the outside, you are the observer. There is a picture, and there is you, and there is a gap between you and the picture, and every time you look, you rehearse that gap. You are practicing the relationship of a person standing in front of a thing they do not have, twice a day, for years, and there is a second problem stacked on top of it. What is the emotional tone of looking at a picture of a life you want? Be honest. It is longing. It is a slightly sweet ache. It is that pull in the chest. And that ache is the feeling you have paired with the image, so the image is now permanently wired to the sensation of not having it. You did not build an anchor to wealth. You built an anchor to yearning, and you have been reinforcing it every morning with your coffee. Neville's instruction was the exact opposite of visual. He said, do not look at the scene. Enter it. He said the test of whether your imagination is working is not what the picture looks like from outside, but what the world looks like from inside the scene when the thing is already true. Do not look at the house. Stand in the hallway of the house at night and feel the floor under your feet and hear how the room sounds when it is empty. Do not look at the number on a screen. Be the person who saw the number an hour ago and is now thinking about something else entirely. That last part is the tell. Real possession is boring. When something is actually yours, you do not stare at it. you forget about it and think about lunch. So the test for your vision board is simple. When you look at it, does it feel like longing or does it feel like nothing much? If it produces a pull, take it down. It is working against you. If it produces nothing at all because you already assume it, you do not need it on the wall anyway. Third habit, and this is the one that will sting the most for the people who are most committed, because this one takes the most effort and it is doing the most damage. Writing your desire down every day, scripting, journaling the outcome, filling pages with the life you are going to live, writing the same sentence 45 times. Some of you have notebooks. Some of you have several notebooks and you keep them because they represent effort, and the effort is supposed to count for something. Look at what a daily practice actually announces. If I write it today, and I write it tomorrow, and I write it the day after, what have I stated at the moment I pick up the pen on the second day? I have stated that yesterday's writing did not conclude it. Every repetition is an admission that the previous repetition failed to close the matter. You are not building, you are reopening. You are a person filing the same claim every morning because it has never been settled, and the accumulation of pages is not evidence of faith. It is a written record of an outcome that has stayed pending for 200 days. There is a reason a person with money in the bank does not write about it in a notebook. Nothing to write, it is handled. Now, I'm not saying never write. Writing can be extremely powerful once done in the right position. Write it one time as a report of something that already happened. Write it in the past tense, dated, with the detail of a person recounting an event to a friend. It came through on a Thursday. It was more than I expected. Here is what I did in the first week. Write it once, and then close the book, and do not open it again. If you feel a pull to write it again the next morning, notice what that pull actually is. That pull is not devotion. That pull is anxiety asking for reassurance, and every time you obey it, you feed it, and it comes back hungrier. Go get one of your old notebooks. I mean it. Go find one from a year ago or 2 years ago and read a few pages of what you wrote. I already know what you are going to find, because everyone finds the same thing. You will find the same amount. You will find the same wording, almost word for word, from a year apart. And you will find that the emotional temperature on those pages is not confidence. It is pleading with better handwriting. You can hear it. There is a strain in it, a leaning forward, a person trying to convince somebody of something. And underneath every entry, there is the same unspoken sentence, which is, it still has not happened. That notebook is not a record of your faith. It is a log file. It is a dated, handwritten record of an assumption that never once got made, kept by a person who mistook effort for state. And here is the detail that should end the practice for you completely. Notice what the amount does over time. For most people, it goes down. The number they wrote 2 years ago was bigger than the number they write now. They have quietly negotiated with themselves year after year, revising the figure downward to something that feels more reachable, because the failure of the larger number to arrive was slowly interpreted as evidence about what they are capable of holding. You did not write your way up. You wrote your way down, and you kept the receipts. That is 3. And you will notice they all failed in exactly the same way. Every single one of them put you in the position of a person who is separated from the thing, performing a ritual across the gap. Gratitude for what is here draws the boundary. The board on the wall makes you the observer. The daily page makes the matter permanently unsettled. Before I give you the other 3, and the 6th one is the worst of all of them, there is something I want to point you toward. A lot of people who make it this far in a video like this hit the same wall. They understand the principle immediately, they agree with it, and then they lie down at night and their mind will not hold a scene for more than 9 seconds before it wanders off. That is not a lack of belief. That is an untrained faculty, and no amount of understanding fixes it. There is a program I came across that deals specifically with that problem, teaching a scattered mind to hold an assumption long enough for it to set, and I have put the link in the pinned comment because I have been asked about it enough times. I did not create it and I am not going to pretend I did. I point at it because it does that one job well. If that is your bottleneck, go look. If it is not, ignore it and stay with me, because the next 3 are the ones actually running your finances. The 4th habit is keeping your vibration high. This is the one that has become so normal that people do not even experience it as a practice anymore. It is just how they live. Protect your energy. Stay in a high frequency. Do not let low vibration people near you. Do not consume negative content. Check in with yourself. Where am I at right now? Am I in a good place? Is my energy clean? I want you to look at what that actually installs, because it is one of the most expensive habits in this entire field. It makes you a full-time inspector of your own inner state. Think about how many times a day you check, you wake up and you assess. Something mildly annoying happens on the way to work and you assess again. Am I still high? Did that knock me down? I need to get back up. And now you are managing, correcting, adjusting, playing a small game against yourself all day, where the scoreboard is a feeling, and you are both the player and the referee. Two things happen inside that arrangement, and both are bad. The first is that you have made money conditional on a mood. You now believe structurally that manifestation happens when your frequency is right, which means that on the days you feel flat or tired or ordinary, you are quietly certain that nothing is moving. That is a belief about your own power that is directly tied to how you slept last night. Nothing built on that is stable. The second thing is worse. Constant monitoring of a state prevents the state. You cannot be inside something while standing outside checking on it. A man who is genuinely calm does not check whether he is calm. The checking is the anxiety. So the practice of monitoring your vibration to make sure it stays high is a practice that guarantees you are never fully inside anything, because a part of you is permanently posted at the door with a clipboard. Neville never once told anyone to raise their vibration. Read everything he wrote and you will not find that instruction, because it is not how the mechanism works. He told you to assume a state, not to feel good, to occupy a specific self and stay there, whether it felt good, bad, or completely flat. And that distinction is not academic. It is the difference between something that works on your worst day and something that only works on your best one. You can be in a terrible mood and still be wealthy. Rich people are in bad moods constantly. Being wealthy is not a feeling of happiness. It is a set of assumptions about what is available to you and what is not a problem. And those assumptions hold while you are irritated, tired, sick, or having a bad week. That is the actual state you are supposed to occupy, and it is far more durable than a mood because it does not require maintenance. So stop policing your frequency. Let yourself have a bad day. Be in a bad mood as a wealthy person. That combination is completely normal, and the fact that it sounds contradictory to you is the whole problem. The fifth habit is asking for a sign. You know exactly what I mean. Show me a sign that this is working. If this is meant for me, let me see a specific number today. Give me something so I know I am on the right path. And you do get signs. That is what makes it so hard to give up. You ask, and then you see the number, and something in your chest lifts. It feels like contact. It feels like the universe just answered you personally. Look at the structure of what you did. Asking for a sign is asking for confirmation from outside about something you claim to already have inside. Every request for a sign is a full confession. You have announced that you do not have it, that you cannot tell whether you have it, and that you require an external authority to rule on the matter. You have made the 3D your supervisor. You have handed it the position of judge and told it. You decide whether this is real. And once you have made it the judge, you have to abide by its rulings, which means the day you do not see the sign, you have to conclude the ruling went against you. And that day always comes, because you cannot control what you see on a license plate. So the practice hands you a temporary lift on the good days and a devastating verdict on the bad ones, and the average is negative, and the whole exchange is built on you asking permission to believe your own state. Neville's position was that you are the operant power, not a supplicant, not a candidate, not somebody awaiting a decision. If you assume it, the assumption is the fact, and the world will conform to it in its own time, in its own way, through channels you cannot see and would not have chosen. The confirmation is not required, and asking for it is not a small, harmless indulgence. It is a formal withdrawal of your own authority. If you want a replacement instruction, here it is. Stop asking whether it is working. That question does not have a useful answer, and you have never once been made stronger by it. Assume it and let the 3D catch up on its own schedule and be genuinely uninterested in its opinion in the meantime. Now the sixth, and this one is the worst of all of them, because it is the one people run when they are trying to do everything right. Letting go. You have heard it everywhere. Detach from the outcome. Release it. Surrender. Stop being attached. That is what is blocking you. And so you decide to let it go, and here is what that looks like in practice, and I want you to notice how insane it is when it is described accurately. You sit down and you deliberately stop thinking about the thing you want most. You catch yourself thinking about it, and you correct yourself. No, I am detaching. I released that. You monitor yourself for signs of wanting. You feel a flash of desire and you push it away and feel guilty about it. And then 20 minutes later, you check whether you have successfully let go yet. That is not detachment. That is the most concentrated attention you have given the subject all week. You cannot try not to want something. The trying is a form of wanting with an extra layer of tension stacked on top of it. And now you are not only in the state of lack, you're also performing a spiritual exercise about being in the state of lack, which means you get to fail at two things at once. The real thing that people are pointing at when they say let go is not an action at all. It is what naturally happens after a real assumption. When you actually believe something is handled, you stop thinking about it, not because you made yourself stop, but because the mind does not hold finished business. You are not detached from your own name. You just do not think about it, because there is nothing unresolved there. So detachment is not the technique. Detachment is the receipt. It is the thing that shows up afterward on its own as evidence that the assumption took. And chasing the receipt without doing the transaction is why so many people spend years performing surrender and feeling more attached every month. If you are trying to let go, you have not assumed it yet. That is all that means. Go back and assume it properly, and the letting go will handle itself, and you will not even notice the day it happened. So there are the 6. Gratitude for the current inventory, the board on the wall, the daily page, the frequency patrol, the request for a sign, the performance of surrender. Every one of them is sincere. Every one of them takes discipline. And every one of them requires you to stand outside the thing you want, in the position of a person who does not have it, and rehearse that position with feeling for years. And there are 2 more that did not make the list only because they are cousins of the 6, and I want to name them quickly, so you do not swap one habit for another and think you have made progress. The first is repeating a sentence out loud all day. The affirmation on a loop while you drive, while you shower, while you walk. Run the test on it. Could a person who already has it walk around the house repeating that they have it 40 times with intensity? No. Repetition is what you do when the first statement did not settle, and your nervous system counts the repetitions, not the words. Say a thing once with the tone of a fact and let it stand. Say it 80 times and you have described a person arguing with someone. The second is the hunt for the block, the endless search for the wound, the trauma, the ancestral pattern, the thing in you that is broken and needs to be located before anything can move. Watch what that search assumes before it even begins. It assumes there is a defect, that the defect is the reason, and that you are disqualified until it is found and repaired. And a search like that never ends, because you can always find one more thing, and every discovery feels like progress while keeping you exactly where you were. You do not have to fix yourself to assume something. Assumption does not run a background check. Now let me answer the obvious question. If I take all 6 away, what am I supposed to do with that time? Less than you think. And this is where people get uncomfortable, because the replacement does not feel like enough. You lie down at night. You get quiet, right at the edge of sleep, in that state where your body is heavy and thinking has slowed down, and you occupy a short scene in which the money is already handled, not a picture of it, inside it, first person, physical detail from the position of a person for whom this is not news. It might be a conversation where you say something that only a person with money would say. It might be the 2 seconds after you look at an amount and feel nothing at all. It might be somebody thanking you for something you paid for without discussing it. You run that scene until it goes flat and ordinary and stops feeling like a project, and then you fall asleep inside it. That is it. That is the entire replacement for all 6 habits, and it takes about 8 minutes. And the reason it works while the other 6 do not is not mystical. Every one of the 6 required the position of separation. This one requires the position of possession. That is the only variable that has ever mattered in this work, and every technique that has ever succeeded in any tradition, under any name, succeeded because it got a person into the position of already having it. Every technique that fails, fails because it rehearses the gap. And the other 23 hours have exactly one rule, which is not a practice and does not go on a list. Do not contradict it out loud. That is the entire daytime discipline. You are not required to affirm anything. Not required to feel anything, not required to monitor anything. You simply stop making the small deposits that you have been making all day without hearing them. I cannot afford it, things are tight, maybe next month, that is a lot of money, must be nice. Every one of those is a sentence that undoes the 8 minutes, and you say them casually in passing, without ever registering that you spoke. Do not replace them with a wealthy sentence. That is a fight you will lose at 2 in the afternoon, and losing it repeatedly teaches your nervous system that none of this is serious. Just let the sentence stop in your throat and say nothing instead. Change the subject. Talk about the weather. Silence is not a neutral outcome. It is a room with nothing being installed in it, and a few days of that is enough for the night work to hold. Now the objections, because I can hear them. The first one. This feels like doing nothing. Everyone says this. You have spent years associating effort with progress, so a practice that takes 8 minutes and produces no sweat feels irresponsible, and you will have an urge to add things to it. Resist that. The urge to add is the same anxiety that filled the notebooks. Adding effort to an assumption does not strengthen it, it dilutes it, because effort is the signature of a person who does not have the thing. Second objection. My mind wanders, and I lose the scene. Good. That means you are close to the right state. The edge of sleep is where the mind naturally scatters. When it wanders, do not react, do not scold yourself. Just return to the beginning of the scene and run it again. No commentary. Boredom is the tool. The scene you can return to without any drama is the one that survives the night. Third objection, and it is a real one. What about the practical steps? Do I stop applying, stop working, stop sending messages? No. You keep moving, but watch which self is doing the moving. There is an enormous difference between sending a message because you are desperate for a reply and sending the same message as someone for whom this is routine. Same action, opposite state, opposite result. The assumption does not replace your life. It replaces the person living it, and that person will do things you would not have done easily without them costing anything. Here is what I want from you for the next 7 days, and it is more subtraction than addition. You stop all 6. Completely. Take the board off the wall, close the notebook, and put it somewhere you cannot see it. Stop the morning inventory. Stop checking your frequency. Stop asking for signs. Stop trying to let go. And every night you do the 8 minutes. One scene, already handled, until it is boring, and then sleep. 7 days. That is the whole assignment. And I will tell you what to expect because people misread the first week badly. You are going to feel like you are getting away with something. There will be a low-grade guilt, a sense that you are being lazy or careless, that you have dropped your practice and something bad will happen because of it. That feeling is not a warning. That feeling is withdrawal from a set of rituals that were serving your anxiety, not your finances. And when the rituals stop, the anxiety has nowhere to go for a few days. Sit through it. Around day 4 or 5 it goes quiet, and something else takes its place, which is a strange flatness about the whole subject. You will notice you have not thought about the money in a day and a half. You will notice you opened your banking app without bracing. That flatness is not indifference, and it is not resignation. That is what possession feels like from the inside, and it is the first honest signal you have had in years. Then things start moving, usually from a direction you were not watching. Tell me in the comments which of the 6 you are running right now. Be specific. Name the number because half of you are running 4 of them at the same time and have never seen them lined up before. And if you have already dropped one of these and something changed, say so, because there is someone reading this who is on day 3 of that guilty feeling and about to go put the board back on the wall. Subscribe if you want the rest of this. I put out a full breakdown every other day, and the next one goes into what actually replaces the routine once the routine is gone. Stop performing it, assume it, and go to sleep.